It's November 8th, 2018, and you're listening to the Beer Temple Insiders Roundtable.
Remember, this is what we wanted. Remember, this is what we said. To never be heard or seen from again. Remember, this is what we wanted. Remember, this is what we said. To never be heard or seen from again.
Hello, and welcome to the Beer Temple Insiders Roundtable. I'm your host, Chris Quinn, and I am coming to you, as always, from Studio B here in lovely Bridgeport, Chicago, the Co-Prosperity Sphere, to be exact. Community of the future, if you don't know, now you know. It's that's what Bridgeport is. I want to thank Lumpen Radio for having us on, and its fearless leader, Logan Bay, for holding it down and allowing us to come in week after week, or almost week after week, and bringing this show to you. And, I want to thank you guys as well, those of you who are listening out there on the airwaves, 105.5 FM. For those of you who actually still have radios, thank you for listening live. You can also be listening live streaming on TuneIn Radio or other streaming radio things on the internet, 105.5 FM. Really, WLPN, I think, is probably where you would find it. But if you are listening live, you can hop into the live chat area and let us know what you're thinking. I'm not going to lie. I will not be looking at what you're saying during the show, but hey, maybe somebody else will. Just how it is. But regardless of whether you're listening live, if you're listening via podcast, I want to thank you as well, be it TuneIn or Stitcher. Stitcher people, I know there's been an issue with uploads lately. Believe it or not, this time it is not us. This is an issue with Stitcher. So the irony is you're not hearing this. So because it's not working on Stitcher apparently. But everyone else, if you know someone who listens on Stitcher, have them jump on over to literally anywhere else, and thank you guys for listening. For those of you listening for the first time and wanting to know what you're hearing, this is the Beer Temple Insiders Roundtable, and essentially, it is a show where I try to recreate people in the beer industry coming together, talking about beer, and essentially what I say every week is the goal of this show is to open up a window into how the people making, selling, marketing, and facilitating the beer, getting into your glass, feel about the topics that are part of their everyday lives. Many of my greatest beer experiences have been talking about beer while sharing beer with people whose opinions I respect and admire, and it's these experiences I'm trying to capture with this show, the Beer Temple Insiders Roundtable. So with that, I will introduce my guests. But before I do so, I will say the opinions of my guests are their own and not the opinions of any other entity they may or may not be affiliated with, be it Lumpen Radio or anything, really. So it's just their own opinions. There you go. It's a still frame, man. They don't see the motion. But let me get to it. The way we introduce guests is in order of seniority, and seniority being how many times you've been on the show. I don't really care about any other seniority personally. So I think it's pretty clear who the senior panel member is this week, Mr. Pat Berger. How are you?
Christopher, I'm great. How are you doing?
Doing pretty well.
Excellent.
Doing pretty well.
Yeah, I'm very formal.
Up and down.
This evening,
yeah.
Christopher.
Patrick.
Greetings, salutations.
How are you?
I'm good. Yeah,
I've seen,
all is well.
You've been looking or watching, is it rugby? I've seen you.
It was a big rugby week here in Chicago. Big rugby week. We had
That's why I didn't
triple
hear
header.
anything.
Yeah. I did not sleep much last week. It was wonderful. The Ireland team trounced Italy. a rousing
Nice.
victory. Yeah.
That's great.
And,
How often do they come in?
It seems every 2 years. The last 6
Okay.
years, they've come every 2 years. So,
Oh, wow. So that's a big deal.
yeah, it was great.
Do other teams come in, or is it just Ireland once every other year?
It's been other teams. The big one was 2 years ago. Ireland beat New Zealand at Soldier Field for the first time in the history of their,
Rivalry.
They've been playing each other for 116 years, and that was the first victory.
And you saw it.
I saw it live. It was the greatest day of my life. I mean, besides, I don't know, the birth of my children and some other stuff. But
Yeah.
mostly the Irish beating New Zealand at Soldier Field. It was glorious.
It's funny you should say that. There's a kind of this story about my father who went to Villanova, as you know.
Yeah, he's quite the
Berger.
fan.
He's quite the fan, and he would always refer to the 1985 national championship that Villanova won as the greatest day in his life. And people would say, well, what? You have 2 children. What about you're married? He said, I repeat, the greatest day of my life.
Yeah,
was when
yeah.
Villanova
Those days
won
the
that.
children are born are kind of stressful.
Yeah.
The wife has it probably a lot worse, but
Yeah.
it's no fun.
But I mean, come on.
Yes, it was a wonderful day, and it was a wonderful day last Saturday. I got to spend it with my 13-year-old who is a rugby fanatic like me. 1 out of 3, not bad. This one is a mini-me, and he had a blast, his first big international game, and he was
Cool.
yeah, it's great.
That's great. What else is anything new in the beer world for you?
No, we're gearing up for the big pop-up at everyone loves tap rooms, and so we're going to do a tap room pop-up at Patty Long's
You're
next
going to do
week.
like a bunch of guest taps?
No, it's we're letting Right B Cider take it over. And,
Nice. Just like a real tap room.
just like a real tap room. There'll be
Having
10,
a bunch of guest taps on.
10 Right B Ciders. Yeah, exactly.
Eventually, I figured
we'll see.
everyone would get it,
hopefully,
yeah.
Just having cider makes
the
it.
kids like it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We have a cider
See,
now.
I get to
It's
have
like
cider
a
on.
real
No, we
Chicago
all
tap
do.
room.
No, we all do. Yes. Exactly.
Awesome. Well, that's great. Thanks for coming on, Pat. I appreciate you coming on.
my
Always
pleasure.
nice to have you on the show. My next guest is Mr. Jonathan Fritz of Hopewell Brewing. How are you?
Hey, I'm good, Chris. How are you?
I'm doing pretty well. What's new with you?
We're staying real busy at Hopewell. We've got our canning line all up and running. So we're speaking of new, we're making the most popular style of beer, which is new beer all the time.
Yeah.
new beer.
Seasonals are the biggest. Yeah.
Seasonals, biggest
No,
category.
Yeah.
So we're just running full clip over at Hopewell, staying really busy.
So the
getting
canning
new-
line.
new
So
beers out in
for
cans.
people out there who may not know, because they're like, "What are you talking about?" Hopewell's been canning beer for a long time.
Good point. We started with contract partners, which has always been our plan. We started doing some of our core beers in cans, and originally we were making some of it up in Stevens Point through an alternating proprietorship, which might be a little inside baseball, but basically we were working with a contract partner
All
up there.
prop.
And then
I
moved,
know the words that people
moved
say.
that down to Great Central, and now we got our canning line up and running, and we're able to crank out a whole bunch of beers.
Nice. That's really cool. So now is the idea to have everything produced in your own space?
That's something we're exploring. I mean, it's if we can keep up with it, that's a really great way to do it. If not, then Great Central makes really great beer, and they're really good at matching the liquid we make. So we could have more capacity without buying new tanks by making it there. So we're open to anything, and luckily, the way that the beer world has evolved, so are the customers.
I have to say, there's been a lot of places, a lot of breweries historically that have taken. So there's some breweries that always have gone to outside places where the beer is actually made, and that's one thing, and they make great beer. There's other places that have started in-house and then gone out-house, and I think
outhouse is exactly how we like
out
to
of
talk
house,
about
yeah.
our beer.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like that more often, most famously, I think with Toppling Goliath is where you see like drastic shifts. And I will say with Great Central, they make really good beer for a lot of different people. Just in my personal opinion, they make some darn good. Pat, didn't you bring a bunch of Great Central beer?
I did bring some Great Central beer. I was just with the guys over at Kaiser. They did an event tonight over there.
I was going to say they did a collab. I'm shocked you didn't say you did a collab. Every time
I did
you're
not
on,
do a collab with them, no. But they had an event there
had
tonight.
just on a collab.
What's that? Have
I
we
said
done a collab there? No.
No, every time you're on,
Yes.
you have either just done or are just about to do a collaboration.
Well, yeah, same
Kind of been
story
a thing.
tonight. Same story
Yeah,
tonight.
okay.
Yeah.
With Great Central.
No, not
Oh.
with Great Central. You want to hear about the...
Because they're already
Collab.
making your lagers. You know, normally when you're doing a collab, you
I know.
collab with the brewery
Yeah.
and make them make a lager. Great Central's already got some
I did
great
that with
lagers.
Dovetail, you know.
A smoke
I
lager.
supposedly made a collaboration with Dovetail. It was just their Hellas.
You were there.
Yeah.
Do the
Stuff-
rename it thing.
Yeah, well, no. They're like, yeah, we're going to call it Dovetail Hellas. I'm like, well, that's what it's already called. And I think we just made the same beer. Yeah. But we got to go there and help
Great
them
collab.
make it, and the staff got to learn. And then the whole batch that we made, we sold at Kaiser Tiger and Patty Long. So that was cool.
Okay, well, that's cool.
Yeah. It was
That's
like beer of the
unique
month.
in a way.
Yeah.
So we made a batch of beer, but it was, yeah.
They're already making great
Probably
beer.
the same with Great Central. We just cut out the middleman and
Yeah,
didn't.
in bigger tanks.
Right. They do have bigger
So
tanks.
like
We're probably
beer
not
of the quarter.
pouring the whole batch.
Yeah,
Right.
beer of the quarter then.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for coming on, Jonathan.
Thank you.
And my final guest, repeat guest, Mr. Drew Fox of 18th Street, one of the more notorious guests we've had on. I wouldn't say anything if you weren't
Notorious.
talking about it before we came on. So, how have you been, man? It's been a while. Been a year, probably?
Thank you, Christopher and Patrick Berger, for joining us tonight.
And Jonathan.
And
Fritz.
Jonathan.
Jonathan's here.
Great. It's been
Christopher
it's
is
been
my
a good
full
year.
name.
We're happy to be done with our expansion, which it seemed like it's never enough time to do expansion. We did basically three expansions in a matter of 6 months, which was hellacious, but we got it done. It was,
3 expansions in 6 months.
Yeah.
So you expanded, and we're like, you know what? We need to expand again. You know
Well,
what?
it
We
was all
expand
different.
again.
It was different things. So we expanded the brew house, and then we built the distillery, and then we built out Sour Note at the same time. So
Got it.
really all these projects at the same time, which was
It's like pulling off a Band-Aid. It's just get it all over with quick, make it hurt.
Hit the button.
All right, there's the first dump. Try
but
not to do that.
yeah, it hurt. So, but no, it was
relatively quick in the history of 18th Street.
Well, everything is quick. I mean, Rich, our head brewer, is here, and Oz, who runs Sour Note, and my wife, who
Yeah, I should
helps
say
distillery.
there's
the whole
we have a
crew
peanut
today.
gallery this
Yeah,
week, which
yeah.
is cool.
They're here to keep me in check, so to speak. So,
Well, they're failing so far.
yeah, exactly. No, it was good.
So
It was good
thanks,
to be.
guys. There's literally 5 of you, and you
Well, they all
failed.
took bets.
Yeah. Well, they're not here to bet. They're here to keep you in check. But anyway, so 3 expansions in 6 months. Well,
I want to hear about this distillery, man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He brought some of the juice.
I know. I see it.
yeah.
He's staring at it.
I like.
So Pat, as he said, I want to hear about it.
pulled
Was
it off the
staring at it
table
and
because-
I
drooling.
thought it might open one of these bottles.
I
if we
pulled. I
talked
did.
about
I
it.
did. I pulled it off the table because the last time I was here, Quinn was yelling at me saying I
Yes.
couldn't have any liquid on the board, and I did it like 20 times. So, no, it's been a really good expansion. I think we have really we took a back seat for a little bit and doing some of the crazy stuff that we've done for a while just to build a brewery.
Quite the poor
and
Jonathan.
to build the distillery. And we're super happy with everything we're doing right now. So
Well, that's great to hear. I was telling you before the show came on, and I know you don't like being told what to do, so I will mention to you that the headphones are helpful. You don't have to wear them. If you want to wear them, it
good.
may be helpful.
I don't need to hear you talk.
That's cool. That's fine.
It's the other way around.
Yeah. So when I was in Copenhagen, we were at the Mikkeller General Store. Yeah, sir, did you wear them then? Yeah. And we saw your, what are they, half pint bottles?
Pocket whiskey. So it's
Yeah. We saw them at Mikkeller, and we were surprised. Or, whoa, what the heck's going on here? It was right next to the Arizona Wilderness Beard Bomb that they had.
Yeah.
They had a whole bunch of different weird stuff on there. But I think it was like one of the only distilled spirits, if not the only distilled spirit I saw at the General Store was the 18th Street. Definitely didn't feel, left out at all. But whatever. I know I'm not as cool as Mikkel, so that's fine.
No, it's we thought about where we really wanted to launch our spirits and where me and my wife really had a lot of forethought in 2015 of launching the distillery. And it was really the idea really came from just sitting in Copenhagen and talking about what we're going to do, in our next life and what we wanted to do and achieve in the next, 5 to 10 years. And, Mikkel's been really great to us. He's a great friend of ours, and he's never asked us for anything, but just we really enjoy his friendship. And we're like, what would be a better place to showcase these spirits and really get some feedback. And we had done some other launches here in the States that we didn't really tell people about because it's more important to us to say, hey, we could have easily launched our brand in Chicago and we probably would have been well received, but it was really the idea was
Chicago is not your style.
No, you're absolutely wrong. I'm born and raised here. I live in Chicago. I live in Hyde Park. I was born on the west side of Humboldt Park. At the end of the day, my dream is to really own a bar, not a brewery in Chicago, but really a bar that speaks to what we do. And that's going to happen sooner than later.
Oh, cool.
So,
no, I was just joking about how
you
guys were going around and you came back to Chicago after a while. And I would say I'm not absolutely wrong, but we can disagree.
You're not.
So I want to thank everyone for coming on. So what I would say is what we normally do is go around and talk about some of the beers or spirits or whatever that we've had that we're excited about or that we're interested in having, yada, yada. Does anyone want to go first?
Sure.
Go, Jonathan. Or
You're to my left. You should go.
Yeah.
As the audience can see, I'm to the left, so I'll go first. I was at Off Color Mousetrap yesterday and had this year's Dino S'mores, and it was really good.
Yeah?
I haven't had that beer in, I think, 3 or 4 years, but I really dug it. It's nice and light-bodied.
It's an OG pastry stout.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of what I was expecting, right? Because I haven't had it in a couple years. I didn't really remember that beer very well. I was worried it would be over sweet, but it's not. It's really nice, and the booze balances out any of the sweetness. It's more graham cracker than marshmallow, and I not surprised because they're doing great stuff over there.
Yeah.
But I really, really enjoyed it.
That's cool. Yeah, it's kind of a funny. They have a funny relationship with that beer, the Off Color folks, because everything else, many of the other things they do are so different than if you would just say, what is that beer? And you're like, oh, it's a graham cracker marshmallow chocolate
Well, yeah,
stout.
most of their beers are an ode to tradition.
Yeah, right. That's a good way to put it.
And that's why I like a lot of their other beers too. But this
But
one
when
is,
they do it, they execute really well.
I would say that this one is probably, like, to style, one of the best graham cracker marshmallow stouts.
Yeah, I would agree. If there were definitely a
BJCP
exactly.
speaking,
Yeah.
it's right there hitting all the marks of the category.
If there was at the bottom of that category, the classic examples, Dino S'mores would be one of the ones listed.
For sure, as far as s'more stouts.
Yeah. I'll go next. I just found out shortly before the show, I think it was like 6 p.m. tonight, we recorded 8 p.m., that Allagash Cool Ship Red was on draft at the map room, and I was doing a bunch of work and talking to someone, and within 10 minutes, I'll say, I was like, all right, well, I'm leaving. I'm going to get Cool Ship Red from the map room and then rush over to do the show. So that to me is one of the most special American wild ales I'd ever had. The first time I'd had it, spontaneous, lambic style, spontaneous fermented raspberry beer, and it was amazing. They had a launch for it yesterday, and I'm always I'm often the skeptic and the curmudgeon and the Chicken Little on the show. So I will say, if there's a potential sign of the beer apocalypse, one of them is that Allagash Cool Ship Red. Nobody really, was interested in that beer when they had a draft event. That is a scary thing, since I think it's one of the greatest wild ales ever produced in America.
I don't know about being like people slept on it. I think it's just really, you look at what's happening right now in the craft beer scene, and 2-1, the biggest seller in the last year has been pastry stouts, and I think a lot of those nuanced beers, when it comes to a sophisticated, beautifully crafted sour with fruit, in my mind, has gone by the wayside. It's only driven by hype, but you look at Allagash, who's done these beers beautifully for a long time, and I think it reminds you, at the end of the day, it's truly about not following hype and not following what drives the revenue stream at the end of the day, but also you look at these styles and it's just like they're beautifully done, and they're hard to do, and there's not many breweries that can replicate that.
Right. So then, even more so, it's disheartening for me when I heard, the event was last night, and I was like, darn. And they're like, and the person who told me about it said, I don't want to trash breweries and bars and stuff like that, but it was not an event that anyone seemed to be knocking down the doors to get into. And to me, I would say, my guess is, in my mind, that will be the most unique, interesting tapping of the year for me. The fact that Allagash Cool Ship Red came on draft in Chicago, I would say, was like number one. Now, I'm the tippy, I'm not going to say the top, but I'm off to a side. Let me say that. I'm not going to say I'm the top, but I'm an outlier. But still, man, I didn't used to be an outlier.
It wasn't packaged. It wasn't in a bottle. It wasn't sold at $30 or $40 a bottle. So there was no rush or run for someone to get it. And when it's on draft at a place like the Map Room, or I forgot who else
also,
had it.
Hop Leaf.
Hop Leaf. We were just there this weekend. There's no one running to get it. And I think for me,
is that a little bit sad though, Drew?
Absolutely not.
No?
I had the same conversation with two brewers who we had poured in my house at Far and Away. We just got away and we talked about what's happening in the industry.
Far and Away is the invitational festival that Half Acre.
Yeah,
sorry.
And we were talking about, like, what? It's kind of nice to walk into a bar, like the Map Room or even your spot or Hop Leaf, and really to be able to appreciate these beers and not stand in line and fight for a bottle. I've never traded a beer in my entire career of brewing, and that's 8 years, and I never will. But if it's on tap, I'm going to go get it, and I want to appreciate it. So it's nice to know that there's no one rushing into these bars and pushing someone aside to get it. But, man, that's just the beauty of what craft beer used to be.
So you're saying, like, it's a great thing that there's a world-class beer on tap that you don't have to, like, wait in line for.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I mean, I just, a lot of people feel the same way. We're not going to wait in line for beer.
I can see that.
But
right.
I have to a confession, because I was in the Map Room yesterday.
I knew you were.
Yeah, you do?
From the person who was at the event.
And this guy saw you there
Okay.
too.
You weren't there for it.
Of course I wasn't there for it.
You're there
I'm
for
just
Alpha
a
King.
Wednesday afternoon
Yeah.
regular at the Map Room. So I cruised in for my afternoon couple of pints, right, on my way to between bars because it's conveniently
Right.
located
Yeah.
in between my two bars.
Yeah.
And,
Conveniently kind of out of the way, but
Yes.
not far enough out of the way.
the Allagash rep, really nice guy, he came up to me and he's like, hey, let me buy you a beer. And I said, well, okay, but I'm drinking Alpha King because I'm having my 2 beers. This is my ritual. I go to the Map
that's
Room
what you
and
like to do.
Yeah, and then he just kind of slunked away, and and I was like, oh, you don't have to buy me a beer. And in the end, he did not. But I didn't realize that he was even having an event or that anything was going on or that there was a special Allagash beer on. So I was at the Map Room yesterday, and I did not even have that beer.
I'm definitely in the camp with Drew. I think that's what's cool about beer to me is that you can go to any bar and get a world-class beer for $7.
You can go to any bar and get a world-class beer on any day now.
Yeah.
I think, and get it.
And I think
but
that's
here's
what's
the
cool
thing,
about
like,
beer.
Yeah,
I
agree.
think I think we are maybe having 2 different discussions because I also agree with that, but I also think that
This one should have been more special.
yeah, to me,
And we've
Yeah,
we've
a
sort of taken-
3-year
yeah.
spontaneous
Yeah.
beer from arguably the best producer of spontaneous beers, and you can certainly make an argument, but I think most people would have them in the top 10, most top 5, most maybe top
Yeah,
4 or 3.
we're all on board with Allagash.
What beers are people
I
waiting in
agree.
line for
But that-
nowadays?
And the guy said he was the only one there.
But
There's
the
a difference
argument-
between you can get it and like
Yeah.
the people are lining up down the street, Drew, for beers that have just stuff dumped into them, are pumped up in price, and they're lining up down the street.
But the argument could be made that if Cantillon Fafoon was on draft at Map Room or at Hop Leaf at $7 in a pint, the argument can be made that it's still a special beer. And I think, I own a brewery, and I'm not in search of a special beer. I'm in search of beer that I really enjoy. And just like you, I go to Mousetrap, probably every other day. I drop my wife off at work, and I go there, and it's kind of nice to see these beers that
It's news to her.
no, she knows. But I go there.
She does now.
Oh yeah, she knows. But I go there and I see these beers that most people would not stand in line for or even want to drink, and that's a shame because, we've been a product of that in 2013 where we dropped Hunter and it was all these variants and we sold out and we're busy, but now it's just like, man, listen. At the end of the day, let's respect the people who are brewing these beers and they're beautiful and they're crafted well. When they have people who stand in line and say, hey, thank you, that was an amazing beer, and it's not in the bottle, it's not in the can, I got to try it on draft and walked away feeling like it was something special. Name one brewery who, and at least in the Midwest, who has not packaged a beer and people stood in line for it and bought it at the price that it was worth. Name one brewery that's done that in the last year.
who haven't packaged
understand
it?
the question.
Who hasn't?
Who hasn't packaged a beer, and the beer was amazing, and it was beautiful, and they didn't get a chance to buy it and package and take it home with them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Name one brewery who's done that.
I mean, it's just that I
Yeah,
think that that's how it goes. That
But you
the
think
super
about
limited stuff used to be like draft only stuff, and now it's package only, tap room only. But
and you can't get it.
yeah,
It's tap room only.
Yeah.
So my point.
your point to me being like me as a bar owner, shop owner is what you meant, not
Right.
like me being like Joe consumer.
Well, you're the regular consumer.
Yeah, yeah.
You want to try this beautiful beer, and it's $7 or $6, whatever the case may be, and you're standing in line for it, knowing that you can't take it home. What's wrong with that?
I don't think anything's wrong with it. I don't know personally.
Just-
You think something is wrong with it? I don't know. I don't think anything's inherently wrong with either scenario. All I'm saying is like, man, that's weird. Nobody cares about this awesome beer.
We've actually
Right.
been
Because they
positioning
couldn't
our
take it
sour
home with
program
them.
different.
They couldn't take it home with them.
Why do they want to take it home? So they can trade it for the same beer? They can trade it for a framboise from somewhere else? That's why. I mean, let's
So
be
do
real.
people only? So here's my question, because I'm not that familiar with people waiting in line for beer. I mean, I've had lines for beer, I guess, at Patty Long's. It's been a long time.
St. Patty's Day.
Since anyone cared. Well, yeah.
Yeah, 3 deep
They're
in the
waiting in
bar.
line for Guinness.
Give me a Guinness.
Something tells me no one on listening to this is waiting in line for a Guinness. But you will at Patty Long's on St. Patrick's Day. But what beers are people still waiting in line? So I thought the kind of waiting in line for beer was over.
No,
Am I wrong?
It's a taproom thing now.
So now it's a taproom thing, but it's only packaged. It's not draft, and that's so that they can then trade it online.
Yes.
It goes back to what I just said.
Yes.
Yeah, this is all stuff that I don't pay attention to.
I don't think because it doesn't really affect you.
It doesn't, no.
Yeah.
No.
But I think there's certainly an element of that.
We've actually been positioning our sour program differently so that more people can try it. So
Yeah.
we traditionally, we have a fairly small sour program. We have 20 barrels and takes about a year to turn one over. So we don't produce a whole lot of that beer, and we had been putting more of it to package. But incidentally, we're a new brewery. No one's tried any of our sour beer, and who cares if they've never tried it? They probably aren't going to buy it. And we sold through well enough. We're not making a whole lot of it. Whatever. Anyway, now we're making the decision with our new releases in the next couple months that more than half of it's going to draft, so that people can go to Beer Temple or wherever else and actually get to try it.
Patty Long's on St. Patty's Day.
Yeah, if Patty Long's wants it, you can have some.
St. Patty's Day release.
We'll dye green
Whoa,
for
what
you.
a turnout!
My only
Wow,
question is it
people
green?
care.
Yeah, we'll dye green for you.
Is it green? Okay.
But
I'll take it.
But we're taking kind of that approach to go towards draft because that's where people try beer.
But Drew, so are you having big lines for beer releases at the tap room?
I think for us that ship has sailed, and we talked about this.
Yeah, I kind of thought that was done.
Yeah, we talked about this probably about 4 months ago. Me and Rich, our head brewer. It's we're not in it
Who's
for
sitting
lines
here in the
anymore.
room?
Who's sitting here in the room? We're not in it for the lines anymore. It's really our focus is continuing to be creative on the brew pub side. We do a great job on package side, but if people
there's
come
so much
in,
special beer. There's so much special beer.
everywhere.
I don't think people wait. I had CBS on tap not that long ago. Nobody, it lasted a couple days. I mean, it went quick for a six-stole of, $15 beer, but no one waited in line
It's
for
nice
that.
pastry stout, old man.
$15 beer. You serving it by the pitcher?
My brother bought CBS at Meyer. At Meyer.
At Meyer, right? Yeah, exactly. Right? Yeah, he bought it at Meyer. So, and obviously, let's not bring up Goose BCS on your podcast, Chris. I know you don't like to talk about it, but people don't necessarily wait in line for that anymore, do they?
I don't think
they do. Yeah,
they do.
No, I don't think
At Walgreens.
At Walgreens, okay.
Yeah, the hype of beer.
24 hours.
Waiting in line at the Target for your BCS.
Yeah,
because I saw stacks of it for days after it released last year.
Now,
Yeah.
all right, let me say,
Am I wrong?
like the
Yeah, absolutely.
Goose Island guys. I have said it's Fisher Price, my first whale, and it is a little bit, but that's fine.
But no
It
one
helps
would have.
out other
But you
people.
wouldn't have said that 5 years ago, Chris.
No, you're right.
You wouldn't have said that 5 years ago.
No, none of us would have.
Yeah,
Same with CBS.
Right.
I remember when CBS came out in bottles the first time, they were handing out you had to buy tickets for an opportunity to get a portion of a bottle pour at a very reputable beer place. I mean, it was just they're trying to meet demand, and
But-
that changes. That changes.
It
Founders
changes
was a different beer back.
because even
different
longer
brewery back
ago,
then. Yeah.
I remember getting a 12-ounce bottle of Bourbon County Stout at Mike and Molly's in Champaign when I was in college for $5.75. So it was 75
right. It's
cents.
gone up and down
So
and up and down. Yeah.
It's not always been popular, and then it got really popular, and now they make more of it maybe, and that's why.
And I think now just other stuff.
There's a lot
is
of
popular.
There's a lot of great
because
stuff out there.
If I really
There's so much great stuff
if
out
I
there.
stand
So
in line
much,
for this beer,
As we
and
do,
now
we're
this
just-
beer's everywhere.
I mean,
That's just.
But that's what
Yeah.
the map room example is of this great beer that was on tap that no one showed up for.
Right.
I mean,
Map Room's got a lot of great beers. They have Hopewell there.
right.
They had off black. They had off black, and I talked to the manager there. And we were talking about what an amazing beer it was. True story.
But the thing is here, it's like, listen, we have a beer release coming out tomorrow, and we're not looking for a line. We're looking for people who are going to come out and appreciate the beer and appreciate what we do. And if we sell out, great. If we don't, it's not a big deal to us.
Mm-hmm.
We're not worried about that. Primarily, our focus is we want people to try these beers that literally, I can say Rich and the rest of our brew team put their heart and souls into, but it's fun. It should be fun and creative. And let people walk through the doors, and they can be the judge of it. We're not going to say, oh, this beer is amazing. Those days are gone. We're not here to toot our horn anymore. It's let the customer be the judge of it. But we get to be creative and have fun at the end of the day. And if we sell out, great. If we don't, who cares?
That's an interesting. I mean, aside from the who cares part of it, I mean, it's an interesting way to think of it, where you're back to nobody knows anything about any of the beers, and let them just come in and see what they like. I mean, I think that's kind of a cool thing. I mean, that's back to the days when people, the old timers being like, in my day, and I'm one of them, in my day, you'd go into a Binny's and there'd be Fufun sitting on the shelf, which is a true thing. I mean, you just have all the candy lined up. It was like, if you liked it and knew about it, you could get it. Maybe it's a return to...
Or you walk into a brewery and you say, hey, I'm Chris Quinn. I like what you're doing. I'd love to have your beer on my shelf, and introduce yourself. I think those days... honestly, are gone. I think the days of where someone will walk into the brewery and say, hey, I'd love to have you on my shelf. Now it's an email or it's a card being passed over to you. Honestly, those days are gone. I don't think literally in the last, Rich, correct me if I'm wrong, the last 2.5 years being at our production facility, we've had a liquor store walk into our brewery and say, hey, we love what you're doing. We want you on our shelves. It's been an email or card or been passed to someone else. Those days are gone. That, to me, that intimacy of someone walking into your brewery and the face and that shop, or whether it be Kaiser Tiger or Patty Longus, that shop. Those days are gone. Because at the end of the day, there are a lot of breweries who are producing and making good beer. And that's the scary thing. In 2010, 2013, at the height of craft beer, how many breweries were making good beer at that time? You can literally count on your hand.
Enough.
So, I mean, I see what you're saying is there's no reason for those places to walk into your brewery because there's so many places probably walking into their store. There's more people walking into their store with good stuff than they can take already. So why are they going to drive down to some other place?
But wasn't that special when you did that, though?
Oh, wasn't
that special when you did it? Hey, I love what,
I love
off-color's doing.
I
love what
lager you're doing. May I do a collaboration with you?
Yeah.
That's kind of what you would say, Pat.
But, I think that's still going on. I think it's not, Drew, you've gotten a lot bigger, The guys who are where you're at,
I'm not big by any means.
No, you're not. But
you've gotten bigger.
Guys who were where you were at 3-4 years ago, I can still walk in there and be like, hey,
But do you?
I think you still can walk in my house and do the same thing. And that's a big misconception about a brewery like 18th Street. That's a brewery considered like us. People think we're this massive 70,000 barrel brewery, and we're not. It's literally the same people that were brewing the beer and who go to work every day from day one. Myself, Rich, Mike, at our CEO.
7,000 breweries.
It's the same people.
But there's 7,000 breweries now.
Totally agreed. But we're not this big massive brewery where Pat can walk in and you can walk in and be like, hey, man, what's up? What's going on? What's new for the day? Dude, honestly, we get off on that. It's really cool to say, hey, people walking through our doors just to say hi. But now the emails are coming in, and then that intimacy in my mind it's really lost in this day and age. And I'm an OG guy, and I'll go into a bar, I'll go into a brewery because I know those guys, and I want to have that conversation with those guys. Not anymore. And we talked about this earlier outside.
I know.
We talked about this earlier outside.
Wouldn't wait in line at my bar. You came after, said, hey, why don't you pour my beer? And I do pour a little bit of your beer, but, I've got tons of people in my face all the time. You're not one of them.
Heard.
Right?
Heard.
So I'm when someone comes to me and they're in my face and all,
And they have good
and
beer.
they're trying hard, and they have good beer because a lot of people have good beer now. A lot more than had it
Than there was.
in 2013.
Right.
Then those are the guys that I'm buying beer from just because.
And the
it's
little
easier.
guys, all the little guys, don't have the manpower to go to every single account every single week. They have to pick and choose which ones they are, and there's more good beer bars or good beer establishments than there are too. So it's not like
Yeah, but I mean, I have
fewer
no lack
breweries
of.
could always go to a certain number of bars.
That's true.
Just like
I have no lack of
everyone
people
has to
coming
kinda
to see
pick
me.
and choose.
No lack.
Well, and I would say, as one of the little guys you're talking about, the scenario you were just talking about does happen to us, and it's probably because we're fairly small. We do have people come in, and I'll meet them at the tap room or just out at an event, and I want you on at my bar. I want you on. We're opening up down the street, and it probably is because we've positioned ourselves to be in Chicago. We've positioned ourselves
physically
to be
positioned yourself
right
in a
there,
way,
and
yeah.
that's intentional. It's not easy to open a business in Chicago. Kind of sucks.
I don't know what you're talking about. Nobody in this room
Ask
knows what you're
Pat
talking
about
about.
that. He knows more about that than anybody.
Yeah, kind of. It really sucks. We can all say that, but there's a reason for it, right?
There is.
A lot of
Yeah,
people.
absolutely.
Yeah.
A lot of people.
Yeah. We all
Yeah.
live here for a reason.
Now, we're way past. Well, I should.
So
have
what are
mentioned
you
that-
drinking
Oh,
this
hold on.
week, Pat?
Yeah, right. I do have to say, you're listening to WLPN
Alpha
LP
King, by the
Chicago, 105.5 FM. Is that what it is, Pat? You're drinking Alpha King?
I'm back on the Alpha King. Yeah, fall. It's fall.
Yeah.
Yeah. My first beer.
It's
trying to
we
get
have
off
it
my
on
lager.
at Beer Double right now too.
Yeah, good.
great. I
That's
love
the
it.
best. Yeah.
No, you got Gumblehead.
No,
I
we've
tried
never
to-
had Gumballhead on.
I tried to
draft.
order a Sierra Nevada, and I thought you guys said you had Gumballhead.
They were messing with you then. It's Alpha King.
and I was like, nah, I don't want
You're
it.
talking to the wrong
Bubblegum
guy.
face.
You're talking to the wrong guy.
You must have.
Sorry, we
I
have-
was in your bar
we
yesterday
have
trying to order
Bubblegum
Sierra Nevada.
face. I was there.
You
with
don't have
you.
Sierra Nevada.
You must not have gotten
I
the
saw
joke
you
because
there.
it wasn't funny.
So I think it's time that we take 90. Producer Surge is he's no Logan. He doesn't bust my chops like Logan did. So when he does, I know that I've really messed up and gone way over time for letting you know about the station announcements and letting you guys know some of the other shows that are here on Lumpin' Radio. So I think we should take some time to hear about the other offerings at Lumpin' Radio, and then, about a minute, 90 seconds, 2 minutes, we'll come back with more of the Beer Temple Insiders Roundtable. Welcome back to the Beer Temple Insiders Roundtable. I'm your host, Chris Quinn, and I'm joined by my guests, Jonathan Fritz, Drew Fox, and Pat Berger. And I have to say, the Peanut Gallery listens to Drew because it was very loud a split second before we
Why
went
you
on.
put me on Front Street, man?
No, because you're
getting
waved your
revenge
hand.
for the last time I was here last time.
You waved your hand.
You're
and
getting
everyone,
revenge from the last time I was here.
I'm giving you props right now. Because
You know-
everyone was loud, and I said, be quiet. Nobody listened to me. Drew waves his hands. Everyone gets quiet.
I will tell you a quick story, but this is your show.
It's true, though, right?
I will tell you a quick story.
Yes.
I was in a country with a brewery, with a brewer, and
In a big country.
it was an amazing event, and their PA
Moonshine's
just
open.
reached onto the shoulder of the head brewer, and everyone walked out of the event.
Wait, what?
Yeah,
Wait, hold on.
it was like, okay, event's over, let's go. It was the coolest thing I've ever seen.
So the PA walks. Wait, what?
Walks
happened?
over to the brewer
Uh-huh.
and puts the hand on the shoulder.
And everyone knew that was the sign to get out.
Yeah, coolest thing I've ever seen. So thank you guys. I really appreciate that. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Wave my hand. And
Respect. Respect.
The new royalty.
Yeah, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want that royalty.
Royals.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's
Weeds.
get on to our topics for the night. The first one, I've moved it up all the way to the top, was a panel suggested topic. This is yours, Jonathan. So, can you set up what happened, or would you like me to read what you said? Because I actually have some new info that's come to light since you pardon me, sent that. Let me just
Well,
burp.
you
into the
finish
microphone.
burping, and I can introduce it. I guess.
Yeah. I've got to do this.
So I was scrolling around my Instagram feed, as you do, and a new Revolution Brewing beer was advertised to me on Instagram. Revolution's a really big craft beer in Chicago.
I mean, pretty big.
I don't know if have you guys heard of Revolution?
You guys heard of craft beer? You guys heard of craft beer? What
anyway,
beer is this that you poured me, Jonathan?
I poured you some Hopewell.
This beer
always selling.
smells amazing.
It's Michigan Saaz hops.
It's great.
Is that the one?
Hophead Farm.
That's a different one, but that one's also
This
awesome.
beer smells good.
He's smelling the one that's open.
That smells like weed.
Looks like it's
Jonathan,
zebra.
is that Hophead Farm sauce?
It is Hophead Farm
They
sauce.
make a nice sauce hop.
It's
over
that good
there.
stuff.
Yeah.
It's open on the
Yeah,
table.
no, it's for real. Like,
Yeah.
all right, I'm sorry, Jonathan. So,
So anyway, I
you're
saw
on Instagram.
I saw a new beer advertised to me from Rev. It was their new Session Sour, and it was, and it smells like weed.
It's almost legal now, Drew. We can talk about weed.
So Rev's new Session Sour didn't look. I mean, they're doing a sour series, so it wasn't very surprising to me. But I thought it was interesting that this can, and I hadn't noticed on their other cans, had a calorie claim on it. So it was
well,
called.
the ad had a calorie.
I think
claim.
the packaging has it. Is that right? Oh well, this is the new information, and I am riveted.
Yeah.
But ad had a calorie
So at
claim
the
on it.
time, you thought that, but keep going with like your mindset at the time.
I thought it had a calorie claim on it. I've been interested in Michelob Ultra is one of the fastest growing brands in
Your
America
favorite beer,
right
personally.
now. I lift it after I do it after lifting all the time.
You
for,
do a CrossFit.
yeah. Well, that's why I'm so stacked. The radio audience would like to know. But
Would you consider yourself more yoked or more swole?
I'm in the hunk
Dude is
category,
swole.
I think.
Yeah.
But anyway, like that's a fast growing beer, and it's because of the health claims, I think. And so I'm interested in if people think that craft beer really has a place in health claims.
Does it have the carb?
Does it?
content?
This one didn't have the
it
carbon on the ad I saw, but more calories come from alcohol
Wait,
anyway.
so I just want to be clear. So we're talking about Revolution Brewery in Chicago.
Revolution Brewing in Chicago had an ad with a
You're right. It
calorie
doesn't say the
claim.
carbs. You're right. It says
it said
alcohol
like 130
and
calories or something
yeah,
like that.
You're right.
And I'm interested because I mean we're a 2,000 barrel brewery. We're not going to put a health claim on any of our beer.
Yeah.
But young people are leaving beer, and the young people are leaving alcohol. I think partially related to health claims.
And do you remember the beer that it was that you saw?
It was Freedom of Press.
And the ad said.
Here, I'll pull it.
Yeah. It said
I don't
exercise.
know
It
of
said
any
exercise your
young
freedom.
person in the demographic leaving beer or leaving alcohol.
Well, I mean,
I think
Pat
they're-
probably sees it at his bar, right?
I do.
You
Yes.
get
Really?
fewer occasions.
Yeah.
People
so-
aren't drinking as much as they did when we were young and dumb.
Well, there's that, but I don't. I mean, the people at my bar are drinking, and they're there. But what I do see is the shift, especially in the summer. In the summer, when people are maybe more concerned about their beach bodies or whatnot, we often joke at Kaiser that we turn into a Tito's and soda bar, and I mean, we literally do an obscene amount of Tito's and soda. It becomes the number one beverage pretty much for June, July, August at Kaiser, which is a beer, and we do a lot of beer too. No question. It pales in comparison to vodka soda.
Yeah,
and that's the diet drink, and it's not a girl thing. Guys are drinking it. Carbs, I think, are heavily weighing on people's minds when it comes to alcoholic beverages.
In what sense? I mean, to me, it's like you can go to a restaurant and have a 8-ounce burger with a farm-raised egg on top of it, and that's literally your entire calorie intake for the day.
Trust
You
me,
see
it's
that
not
religiously
weighing on
every
my
day.
mind. I mean, take a look.
Yeah, this isn't for the guys.
I don't,
in this
you know,
room.
I'm not delving into
We're
what
not
these
disagreeing. We're just saying
23 or
this is
24-year-olds think,
reality.
you know. But this is what they're doing. This is
So-
what's going on.
So
I don't
if it's
think-
carbs, we should all be making.
Do we think that's
brewed
intentional though?
IPAs,
I mean, do we
right?
think that's intentional from, a local brewery who's intentionally saying, "Hey, this beer is less carb"? I mean,
Yes, I think it's a smart move.
I will tell you, I know for a fact because I was Doug Valicki from Rev. We tapped a cask of Coffee Eugene, like 3 hours before the show. I was like, "Hey, I know you've been waiting. It's on," and he stopped in, and he's a multiple time guest here, and I mentioned that we're going to be talking about the calorie thing, and I read him exactly what you sent, and he talked openly about it and said, "You are free to say everything I say. You're free to say that I said it," and it just was a happy happenstance. So what they said was they did not brew the beer to be a low-calorie beer. What they did do was they realized very much that low-calorie was something that was potentially was something that they were interested that they thought people were interested in. That freedom, it was actually Freedom of Peach, which is their summer beer, which does not have a calorie claim on it, was probably low calorie just because of the way it's done. It's a sour beer. It's low alcohol. So they had it tested, and then they had the most recent one tested, and it kept coming back super low, like 120 calories. And they're like, "Oh, well, let's position it that way." So they, it was certainly intentional. The beer was not brewed to be that way, but they took a existing beer and said, "Well, let's market it that way." They've noticed online, on Instagram, that people were saying, often women, "I don't even like beer. Someone told me to try it, and I love it." So they're interested to try it more, and also even the wording on the ad. It started out as just an Instagram post that got a lot of traction, so then they turned it into an ad, and it has the calorie count. It says, "Exercise your freedom," because it's called Freedom of Press, and the word exercise is on there.
I didn't even get that.
Right. So, like, it's all intentional.
It's a good
Yeah,
pun.
when I
Yeah,
see
it's all
exercise, it's
intentional.
just like blank space. I'm seeing.
Yeah, what's that?
I'm just remembering now. I was on.
And Doug, I'm hoping I'm saying accurately repeating what you told me.
This would be something on top of that. I'm just remembering now. I was on a sales call, and I was after a brewery, a small brewery that's been on this show a bunch, and their sales pitch for their lager was how it's like lower calorie. It was at like an upscale gym that we sell beer at. And a gym with beer.
Hold on, what?
By the way,
What?
But their sales pitch for their lager was like, oh, people
you guys
who
are
are working
weird.
out,
Yeah.
then they want like a low calorie lager. And my thought and what I told them was every lager is pretty much exactly the same calories. There's 7 calories per gram in alcohol. There's 4 calories per gram in carbs, and there's no fat in beer. So those two things, in almost the exact same amounts in everyone's lager, make it the same thing. We're just not getting it tested.
Right.
Well, I'll tell you this. I think it would be a very smart move right now for any brewers listening to check the carb content of these new brute IPAs, because you're adding this enzyme that's eating all of the basically
All the carbs.
eating all the carbs and sugars to make it to dry it out, right?
So
but you could reposition that beer as a macro brewer would do, like Mick Ultra Dry or whatever, which is basically
Bud Select
brewed,
55.
brewed IPA without the hops. And if you put low carb on there, if you were able to get away with that with the FDA or whatever, if it was in fact lower in carbs because of that happenstance that you're just drying it out to make it a brewed IPA, I think it would be gangbusters. But
Now, so I saw and I don't want to blow up your spot, Rich, but you were making like a motion to saying that you were not into what Pat Berger was suggesting. What I want to say is, what if there was a beer that is already doing that, and you mention as an aside, by the way, did you know this beer also is that? Which I think is kind of more what Doug was saying about this beer. He was like, we didn't make it this way, but we realized people probably don't know this about that beer, and they may want to know that about
Take a
this
lesson
beer.
from beer history and the macrobrewers. MGD, right? Miller Genuine Draft. All right, this beer was a massive hit for Miller at a time when new beers weren't really being introduced by the macrobrewers and certainly weren't taking any hold. They said, we're going to make this beer MGD, that's draft beer in a can or in a bottle or whatever their tagline was. And what they were doing was they were sterile filtering that beer. They were not pasteurizing it. So they were saying, we're not pasteurizing this beer. Something that, by the way, a brewery like Coors, that's all they did. But they never advertised it, right? And MGD said, we're going to advertise this sterile filter, but no one knows what that means. So we're going to reposition it as draft beer tastes in a can. You only get unpasteurized beer with a draft beer, but now you get it with MGD. And it was a giant hit for them.
I don't personally know that, and this I may be speaking out of turn. I don't know that at least any small craft brewery, at least on our production scale, would purposely seek out saying, "Hey, our beer only has 2 calories, and you should drink our beer," because as most of us know, and being transparent, most of our beers exceed the daily calorie limit. Period. Yeah. So to make that claim, it's really almost like
but calories are one thing, carbs are another, right?
Well, let's get away from carbs and calorie. To me, it's more, what if you know something about your beer, that you've already made. Let's say, let's pick a beer of let's say Hunter has a certain quality that
That's probably a bad beer to pick.
No. We're not. Let's not say it's health related. Let's say it's something different related. That there's a quality to it that, let's say, pastry stouts are huge, and you've always put the most, marshmallow extract into that. And I'm not saying a Hunter has that in it, but like
absolutely
right. No. But let's just say there's something in it that
hold off on the F word.
Is always been in there, was never really a thing, but it's always been in there, and then that becomes a thing, and you're like, well, Hunter has that in that. Well, is it bad to mention that it's now? I'm playing devil's advocate because this is this is a curve that gets weird and gets marketing. Like MGD wasn't, well, we don't filter this beer. It's, let's make a beer that we can market as not filtered. So there's a difference there. I'm
sterile
not saying,
filtered, unpasteurized. It was unpasteurized.
That's what I meant. Unpasteurized. So like that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is,
but you could end up like Coors, who's left, number 3 because they just never advertised what they were doing.
True.
Sure. Yeah, true. Exactly. Sure. And they're more like, in a way, pure of heart. They're like,
well, that's just what we always did.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So what I'm saying is, if you've always been doing it, and it's something that people may respond to,
so your
is to not say it.
Your example would be weird. Someone's been making hazy IPAs for 10 years, and now this trend hits.
Right.
Now they say hazy instead of unfiltered. Or
exactly. Yeah.
Well, I think
that's a real example.
But changing nothing.
Well, that's a good example.
I think that is a good example. Yeah.
That's a good example. I mean, it's a very good example. If you look at the beers that were being produced, say 2010, 2012, 2013, those beers were unfiltered, and they were hazy as hell. And me and Rich have this debate all the time. Deal with the Devil was the most haziest beer we've ever done. And we went back and looked at pictures and everything, and it was like, well, that was a hazy beer because we didn't know how to filter it.
Yeah.
And we didn't know much about yeast then.
Yeah.
But to your point, when you talk about
Right.
we basically
But now, like, you've got Treehouse and Trillium, or Trillium centrifuges, right? So
there are
like,
a lot of breweries who spin those beers.
But my point is,
well,
right.
we can say in this,
But I interrupted you, I'm
I hear a
sorry.
podcast of, Wayne Wimbles from, Cigar City was saying, hey, it's a trend and there's really no science behind what you do. Partially I agree and partially I don't. At the end of the day, how many breweries from 2010 to 2013, i.e. sent their beers to a lab, tested the beers for IBUs, tested their beers for the correct ABV at the end of the day, and knew what was in those beers?
Yeah, I mean, it was
There was
Wild West.
It was a Wild West. But now we as technology grows, we look at those things because there's risk of infection, there's risk of having beer recalls, etc. FDA being involved because beer is a food product at the end of the day. So now there's all these entities saying, well, that's a food product, and so we want to know what goes in that beer.
As they should. I mean, let's be real.
And a brewery,
let's be
brewery
real.
rev size. What's the law? It's like if a restaurant has more than 20 locations, you need to be able to put the health claims on the menu, right? It's like
You're not
Yes.
required to put the health claims on the menu.
I
If
thought
you
that
have
you
a
did.
certain amount of locations,
I think
yes.
so if Rev is selling to TGI Fridays, which I assume they are,
Yes.
they probably have to lab test all their beer.
I have to put a hard pause.
Ooh, that's a good question.
Serge has mentioned now twice that I have to tell you, you are listening to WLPN LP Chicago, 105.5 FM Lumpen Radio. You were saying, Jonathan.
So if you sell into...
wait, that's not you.
I want to get this point
My name's
here.
Pat.
Yeah.
You're saying that if you
This
sell...
is a great point to interrupt.
No, but if you're
you're right, yeah.
you're selling into a chain like that, into a TGI Fridays or a
Buffalo Wild Wings or
Buffalo
whatever.
Wild Wings, who has to do they have to show all of the
I think they have to put
Alcohol
health claims on the
on the
Well,
alcohol?
they would
too?
have
I
to
thought it
put
was the
calories
menu
on
No,
items.
it's only food items.
Yeah, it's just food
Is it
items.
only
It's
beer?
not beer related.
We don't
It's
touch that.
not
So I
beer
have no
related.
Yeah, it's
idea.
just food items.
Cider, though, has to do it now, right?
We're
Yes.
we're only selling to local bars like Beer Temple.
Yeah, but I don't think it's
Every bar is local to
it's one of those
someone.
things where you want to call out one specific brewery in that sense, because I can sit here and tell you a handful of breweries, who may make the same health claim, and consider craft. I think it's really, at the end of the day, is what you want to be and what you want your brewery to look like. And, again, I'm not sitting here defending Rev. I'm not sitting here defending, any brewery that size. But literally, at some point, all breweries are going to have to put a health claim on
You think?
their
Oh,
label.
yeah, and-
yeah, because, you have the FDA involved now. At the end of the day, we didn't have to worry about this.
Hopefully not at a small scale.
and I'm
Well, there's so much. There's
definitely with
so
you.
many. There's so many adjuncts being put into beer right now that me as a small producer, I'm worried about that.
Yeah.
I'm worried about the FDA come knocking in my door saying, "Hey, what are you putting in your beer, Rich?"
I'm not going after
Do you-
Rev or
do you have to
anything.
put
Yeah,
mass on beards?
no.
Why?
Oh,
Why?
you're talking about
Whatever it takes.
No, I'm very much for calorie claims.
you do
on
in
beer.
restaurants.
I think that's great. It's cost prohibitive for a brewery our size. But
Not in a brewery, you don't.
no, not in a brewery. You don't,
You don't have to wear the beard
But why
net, beard net.
because we separate out all the solids from our beer. If you're a brewery,
But it's still considered a food product.
it is registered with the FDA. Yeah, you do have to be registered with the FDA to be a brewery.
So that, yeah.
But
It's a
but
big question.
at least we're not USDA, because that's even harder. But
I
if
think
people
now
keep
is a
putting-
time. What,
No.
Jonathan?
I'm out of here.
Okay. I think now is a good time, especially since producer Serge just walked out randomly, said nothing, got up, walked out, and now DJ Serge has come back in and says that this is his show now for the next 10 or so minutes, and he's going to spin some tunes for you guys while we take a break. And then after that, we'll come back and talk more beer with the Beer Temple Insiders Roundtable. See you then. Insiders Roundtable. I am your host, Chris Quinn, and I am joined by my guests, Jonathan Fritz, Drew Fox, and Pat Berger, as well as the Peanut Gallery, as I will call them collectively. It's been a while since we've had a Peanut Gallery.
They don't like that.
It's been fun. It's fine.
18th Street entourage.
It's not all 18th Street. That's not fair to say.
Oh,
This
it's
is
not?
all
No?
18th Street, with the exception of the
well, there you go.
the guy,
Yeah, from Sweden. Okay.
the Swedish guy.
Oh,
Exactly.
plus a Swede.
Exactly. So we're sitting here and we're talking, and one of the topics that I thought would be interesting to have on, considering some of the public positions that Mr. Pat Berger has taken and that I have talked about, and about tap rooms and the fact that we've had two people who own tap rooms. I thought it'd be interesting to talk about this law in New Jersey that kind of limited what tap rooms could do. It came out a while ago, right, Pat?
Yeah, it was a little while ago. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you remember exactly what the new? I'll just read the new regulations in New Jersey. This is just New Jersey.
It's pretty hardcore. Yeah.
It's pretty hardcore.
Aren't we in Illinois? So who cares about New Jersey? at the end of the
Well,
day?
my
I
point
think
being,
it's-
like, there's been a lot of talk about the expansion
There's
of
law
tap
changes.
room rights.
Yeah, there's law
Right.
changes going on in Illinois for tap rooms. Well, there was a law change that went on, and there was one a couple of years ago as well.
And also,
And
tap rooms are, I think, the epicenter, or very much a hotbed of, like, the craft beer kind of, like, the hotbed of it in a lot of ways.
Drew's hand is up.
Yeah, peace. Yeah.
Oh
No, here's
is
my
not a bad thing.
no. Go ahead, Pat. You go ahead.
no.
And here's the thing that you need to know, Drew, that you may not, that Pat does know, is that we've talked about that topic, like, ad
Why wouldn't I know
nauseum.
that? Why wouldn't I know that?
How many times do you listen to this show?
You'd be surprised.
Okay. Well, we've talked about it. Fair enough. We've talked about it a lot. I said you may not be aware of. I didn't say you're not aware of. You may not be aware of. We've talked about that a lot. But I supposed. So, my point being, there's a lot of changes in it's one of the things.
You haven't talked about this New Jersey change yet?
No.
Because I was surprised to see it on there, because it was a few weeks ago.
Yeah, it was a while ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the fact is,
I was waiting to have someone like you on. A true curmudgeon bastard.
Now I'm interested.
No,
actually.
you know-
This is Jonathan. Does Pat have an opinion on brewery tap rooms?
I guarantee you he does not.
I'm low on opinions. No, look.
More beer opinions.
Yes, I have beer opinions on this. Way to sneak it in.
Nobody knows what that means. Don't worry.
They really don't. It's sad. But anyway, look. In this case, New Jersey went way overboard, right? They were. There was a
if
backlash.
we're going to go there, let's reset. So
Okay.
I'm trying to set the stage.
Yeah, you want to set it up? Yeah, set it
Yeah.
up.
So generally on this show, we've been talking about how there's been just new, over the course of years, rights for tap rooms to do things, and it's kind of been an incremental change, and that over the history of these changes, there's been, I think, unanimous general support from the beer community. More recently, there's been some pushback about we might be going a little too far. I think this might be encroaching on 3-tier or direct competition or weirdness, yada yada. And for people who listen to this show regularly, you guys know what we're talking about. Now, with New Jersey was the first time that I've seen specific pushback, in this case from the distributor, from the second tier, on this trend that is a national thing, which is we'll call it, it's not entirely fair to call it this, but it's easy to encapsulate it as like the on-premise trend, the taproom trend. So there's a law that passed, And the new regulations were, some of which included breweries can now only hold 25 special events, quote unquote, as such as paint and sip nights, trivia nights, live televised sporting events, and live music nights. So that's a special event. So a trivia night is a special event, right? That's just regular for a bar. That's programming, right? Regular programming, right? So,
Well, yeah, paint and sip nights like at Kaiser.
yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
Breweries, so that's just
We're free to
the
do
one.
all of these things.
Breweries are limited to 12 special
As many as we like.
Let's keep going. Breweries are limited to 12 special permits a year to sell products off the brewery premises, such as festivals, athletic events, and other civic events.
Which currently in Illinois we
insane.
can't do any.
Yeah. Oh, really? Breweries are limited to 52 private parties, birthday, weddings, anniversaries a year, so that's one a
What?
week.
You're not allowed to do what?
Any off-site events.
Oh, right. Okay.
They must electronically notify the ABC, which is the alcohol, control board,
It should be
10
a-
days prior to holding the event.
Who
So
in
it's-
New Jersey is checking up on all that, by the way?
But if you look at it, the bullet points, they're saying
God.
bullet point 1, 25 special events such as paint and sim trivia nights, blah, blah, blah. It's saying you cannot do regular bar programming. Bullet point 2 is you're limited to special permits to sell products off brewery. That is going right after catering and special events stuff. Bullet point, in my mind. This is all in my opinion, first of all. Bullet point 3 is that breweries are limited to 52 private parties. That is, again, a bar or private event space thing. All this stuff is pushback from retail and really, honestly, I take it back. I said before this was distributors. This is 100% retail pushback.
well, that's a good
All of
question,
them.
though.
All
But,
of them are- this is all retail
is it though?
pushback.
I think distributors are in there because they're losing out on all the business the retailer is losing out on, right?
Well,
Because-
most of it, unless
Well,
you have
all of it, you know.
No, cider and guest taps.
Because the third tier has to buy from the second tier. The first tier
Sure,
does not
sure.
in this case. So I don't know which lobbying group pushed all of this through, but oh my god,
It was the
it's pretty
it was
unbelievable.
the retailers. It was the NRA.
It was the
or
retailers that
whatever.
did it?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah,
Not the
yeah.
NRA. No,
The other
no.
The NRA,
The other NRA.
the IRA,
Yeah, it was your NRA.
the
Yeah, Bono pushed it through.
Bono.
But the flip side of that is
National Retail Restaurant Association, or
okay, yeah.
it was them.
All right.
It was them. Yeah.
I guess the flip side for me is, I own a brewery, and we don't have the ability to self-distribute because we deal with distributor. The biggest thing I see right now is there's so many generational bars out there in Illinois and Indiana, 10, 15, 20 years, 30 years that are bars. And who've run a course, who've done a great job of bringing people in, and who've made massive amount of money to sustain their bars and take care of their staff. Okay. And you think about that.
And grow the brands.
Absolutely. And so you think about that. So, some folks saying, well, the brewery's open a tap room, it's hurting my business. But if you look at it from 2010 to 2013, these small tap rooms have only been in business for 2, 3, 4 years, whereas a generational bar have been there for 15 and 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? They have an opportunity to sell at not $5 a pint like most tap rooms would. They're at $7, $8 a pint. Okay? So
Well, wait a minute.
no,
now.
well, go ahead.
The opportunity to sell at $7 a pint, it's not an opportunity. It's just making your margins, right? So a tap room selling at $5 a pint is making much better margins than me at $7 a pint.
exponentially more.
Exponentially more.
Exponentially more.
At the same time, they're also undercutting me.
Maybe they're making more at $5.
Well, I
Maybe.
again, there's
Likely.
Pat, there's
Likely.
the argument there that can be made.
I like
there's
this.
the
I already
argument there
like
that can
it.
be made on both. The argument can be made on both sides. And again, I'm not here saying that.
No. I'm
The
just
argument
saying.
made on
I'm
both
just
sides.
stopping
We're the
you in your
producer.
tracks and saying, that's
What you're
Look,
hearing now, folks, is something
I
that
love
is brand new,
taprooms,
which
by
is
the way. I'm saying
a
that before-
weirdness between the tiers,
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
yes, it's
Absolutely.
a weird thing that's never happened.
And that is you're
Yeah.
hearing
Yeah.
people confronting the weirdness for the first time.
Well, I think too is
Agreed.
that if we're confronted with, and this is just me saying this, if you put 18th Street against 3 other tiers, big tiers, okay, you own a bar, right? So
Yes.
we're talking about someone selling you a six still at $50. 18th Street comes in at $70. Guess what you're gonna do? You're gonna buy that brewery that's at $50 because you make your margin on that $50 six still.
I mean, that's if I did that, I would be not here tonight, right? I mean,
Why
I've
not?
never
Pat,
made that
explain it, Pat.
decision.
Come on, dude.
But you have to
I've never made that
explain.
decision.
Explain
By
to
the
people
way, I'd
listening
like to
why
know.
not.
I'd like to know any 18th Street six stills that are $70.
They're not.
Ouch. No, but Pat,
They're
when you
not.
say things like you wouldn't
They're
be in
not.
business, you have to
And I'll be the
explain
first
to
person
people
to say they're not.
listening
But
why.
there are breweries who are giving away six stills at $50, so we can't compete with that.
What
So at the end of
breweries?
the day,
What breweries are
dude,
giving away six stills?
Dude,
Talking to the
they're
mic, Pat.
What breweries are giving away six stills at $50
That's why the
that
headphones
I'm
help.
buying? I'd like to know. 'Cause
there are plenty.
who
There are plenty.
are they the
There
same
are
size as you?
plenty. Absolutely not.
Right? They're bigger than you.
Absolutely. Absolutely, they are. And I sat next to plenty of distributors who say, "Hey, you know what? That six still is it's $80. I can do better, and now it's $60. Oh no, the guy it's $50. Plenty of breweries, plenty of breweries.
I don't know
Hold
many,
on,
but this conversation
can I-
has nothing to do with
I
the
like to
topic.
have-
Yeah, it does, Pat.
Hold on, wait.
How?
Hold on.
How doesn't it?
Let's check in with Jonathan.
Because we're talking
Because
about
you're making margin.
Maybe we won't.
At the end of the day, where we can pit back and forth, where we say the traditional bar is losing out because tap rooms there's abundance of tap rooms.
It doesn't have to do with margins. It has to do with customers.
It does have to do with margin.
No, it doesn't.
I disagree.
Okay. Well, it's.
You guys can disagree.
I think we can
Okay.
absolutely disagree. I think it's competition, right? It's not margins. It's not any of that. It's butts in the seats, which is what we talk about all the time in the restaurant business. You got to get butts in the seats. There's only so many butts, right? And when the seats open up in the tap rooms, they're taking some of those butts away from you. And the pie doesn't get bigger. The slices just get smaller. And in fact, the pie is actually shrinking. There's less drinkers. There's less people drinking beer, for sure. There's more people drinking craft beer, but there's less people drinking beer. There's less people going out at night. There's less people going to bars. So the pie is getting smaller. The slices are getting smaller. And the more slices is the more places, right? And tap rooms are more places. And they are targeting a particular customer that, thankfully I don't necessarily completely rely on, but a lot of beer bars do, right? And that's that customer that is interested in rare and weird and, esoteric craft beer. And those
Not
customers,
necessarily, but
Well,
keep going.
those customers I think are trending more towards tap rooms and away from beer bars that traditionally got that customer base there. So,
But you're not giving away 20%, 27%, though.
no,
You're not.
what I'm not giving away what?
Right.
You're not giving away 27%, though.
20%. I'm not sure if I follow. Give
So,
me back the mic.
Drew, you're not on mic.
Okay, so if you think about it, for a small producer like us,
Yeah.
okay, so on the distributor end, they have to make their margin, right?
Yes.
So,
What you're saying is you make so much more money selling it directly to the customer than you do selling it to the distributor to sell it to me.
that's not what I'm saying.
And I understand that.
That's not what I'm saying. And so do you at the end of the day.
Saying
and
the
so do you at
opposite,
the end of the day.
which I
Well, no, I don't, because
understand.
I'm not producing anything. So, I mean,
But you're buying it at a rate from either a small producer or a big producer at a low margin because you're not gonna spend $125 on a 6-dough.
I do all the time.
Okay, so your margin is a lot smaller at that price.
It's not. I just bump up the price. So price doesn't mean anything to me. I buy beer. I buy the beer I like to buy. Sorry. I've been drinking a little bit.
So
I don't know if
at
you
the
guys
end
know
of the
that.
day,
But
at the end of the day,
I-
there's this shouldn't even be a conversation at the end of the day because like
Well,
you said,
no. What
you're
we're
buying a
fighting
beer
over, what
at
we're
the
fighting
price-
over is not the margins or the
We're
price.
fighting over asses and seats.
Yeah, you got it.
All right, Jonathan, now's your time. Take it away and wrap this up in a nice bow. You got 30 seconds to go.
I'd just like to say how much I'm enjoying this 18th Street beer that I'm drinking. The entire growth of my business plan, and I assume Drew's business plan, is getting people into Pat's bar and getting people into Chris's bar. It's the growth of the business. The way that we're able to afford a canning line, which is super expensive. It's more than a Tesla, believe it or not.
Do that. You can't do that.
The way that we're able to afford this
Hold on,
this
just wait a
idea that
sec.
we've had
But
is
that's
to
always been
Hold
there,
on.
though. That's
Hold on,
always
literally
been
pause.
there.
All right, well,
pause.
Off top.
Pause.
Say
Two,
the state
three,
again.
4.
Yeah, say it again.
2, 3, 4.
And
The way that we're able to afford our growth in the craft beer industry is through distribution. The tap room, for us, was a very important part of our growth, not only from a cash flow perspective, which it is very important. We do get a great amount of money for the beer that we're selling to people, for the quantity of beer that we're selling to people, but also from a brand perspective. Because if people go to Patty Long's, who the heck knows about Hopewell until they've been to our tap room?
Agreed.
So that is super important to us, and it's always been super important to us. We distributed kegs the exact same week that we opened a tap room.
Yep,
That's always
I
been a
remember
part of
that.
our business
I remember
plan. But the tap room is not long term for our brewery. I can speak for our brewery. The tap room is a way for us to continue telling our story, telling what Hopewell is all about. We're making bright, clean beer in Logan Square. And the growth of our business, the way we're able to hire more people, the way we're able to offer better pay for the people who work at Hopewell, is by continuing to grow our distribution business, which right now is a self-distribution business where we're sending kegs straight to Beer Temple, straight to Kaiser Tiger.
Keep doing that.
Yeah. You know,
And the only way that we're going to get to grow that is by growing craft beer overall. You mentioned how beer
Agreed.
is not growing right now, and I agree. I remember 10 years ago when I was first getting into beer, maybe it was a little longer than that. I'm a little older than that. But when I was first getting into beer, it was all about like, tell your friend about home brewing, tell your friend about craft beer. And now it's who gets this piece of the pie. And that to me is not as exciting as like, let's bring new people in.
Agree. And
Let's bring new people in.
it
Let's
sucks.
put calorie claims on our beer because that brings someone in who cares about calories. Let's put out some sours as our secondary beer instead of just another IPA. Let's make beers that taste like wine to bring wine drinkers to
But
beer.
I also think that it is the one thing that we lack as small producers is we lack the ability to go in and tell a place like Beer Temple, Map Room, or Kaiser Tiger, say, listen, we love what you do and we love how you take care of us. We want to take care of you and incentivize you for taking care of us, because at the end of the day, that's quid pro quo. We can't do that. We can't give Pat a special price. We can't give Quinn a special price.
When you say can't, you mean legally. I just want to let people know,
legally
like,
you can't.
I'm not
but,
able
but
to.
the, but legally you can't.
I'm just explaining
but,
to people
legally
what you
can't.
mean.
But
Yeah.
we also know that there are entities out there that do that, and it sucks because
Illegally.
Yeah, and it sucks because you know what? I want to say, hey, I want to be competitive on my 6-0 pricing or my half barrel pricing because
I think you're under the misconception that anyone interested in 18th Street Brewery is also involved in any of these illegal activities
Pat,
with the
that's
macro
not
breweries.
exactly what I said.
That's not. But I'm just saying that's not happening.
That's not what I said, Pat.
He said I think. He said I think.
Don't use that in the context, Pat, because that's not what I'm saying.
Okay, but I'm just saying that's not happening.
It is happening.
With who?
Pat, it's happening.
Pat, it's with whom?
Come on, Pat, it's happening. Don't sit there and say it's not happening.
It's not happening. It's not. I mean, at least in my experience. In my experience, it's not happening.
Drew, I will say Pat would be the first person.
Yeah.
All right, there you go. So Pat would be the first person I know from the retail side who would say, yeah, it's happening. And now you've got two different brewers who disagree with it. So that's an interesting thing right there. Now, I would be with you, Pat. I don't think it's happening.
So why did it happen 2 years ago?
I don't think it's happening.
Why did it happen 2 years ago when there were pay to play?
Well, I think
breweries.
I don't think it's happening.
I think
he's
also.
talking about you're talking.
I want to make sure we're all on the same page.
Yeah, that's what I just want to reset.
Yeah.
So we're talking about like small. We're not talking about the big guys who've been bought up. We're talking about independent, esoteric. Or not esoteric, but independent, smaller guys, right, Pat?
Yeah.
That's what I thought you were talking about.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about.
And you're talking about them giving pricing?
I don't think
Well, I thought that's what
happens.
Drew was talking about. Drew
That's
was
what I
talking about
thought.
pricing, that he's getting outpriced
I'm
by.
not saying getting outpriced. I'm just telling you that there's an element there that if someone goes into Patty Longins or your entity, for example, and say, hey, you know what? I'm priced at 50 and I'm priced at 60.
No, I agree that no one's winning on price. We see that every day where someone on a really big distributor is like, I'm selling
And
$99
it's really cool that no one's going to admit to
half
that,
barrels
and I'm not going to admit to that
Hold on,
partially.
let him,
but being honestly,
Drew, let him talk.
okay, go ahead.
Yeah, go.
We do see that every day, and Hopewell doesn't compete on price. It wouldn't make any sense at our size. But
Yeah, right.
we see that every day where someone's like, hey, one of our core beers is a Pilsner style lager. Every day I hear, well, this brewery from a state right next door on a big distributor is selling lager at $99 a half barrel. And I got to be like, well, who's drinking that though? You know, like, well, who's drinking that? I can sell you a half barrel for almost twice as much of a beer that
That's the point
of
I'm
a
trying
beer
to
that's
make.
great.
That's the point I'm trying to make.
But
Well,
that,
I think
maybe I worded it wrong, but that's the point
I don't
I'm trying to make.
think I don't think that scenario is happening.
We all agree on. I think we all agree that happened.
But I don't think that scenario is happening at Patty Long's. It's certainly not happening at the Beer Temple. It's not happening.
No, you're being
at
awful.
beer centric
I'm not
places.
saying-
It's
I don't
maybe
think he's
happening when
saying
you
that
guys
either,
are trying to branch out and trying to get into these places that don't really care about beer.
No,
and,
it happens
I'm
to me,
sorry,
I
but
disagree.
maybe you shouldn't try to sell beer to a place that doesn't care about beer.
Oh,
Well,
then
that's
how do you
back when
grow,
beer
man?
was
Come
cool.
on.
Maybe you don't. Maybe you just stay a small brewery. But
or maybe you just stay a small bar and just keep doing status quo.
well, what else am I doing?
Yeah, man.
Yeah. I mean, maybe you do.
Yeah, man.
I don't know.
Maybe you do.
Mike Roper certainly thinks you should at the Hop Leaf. He gave me crap for opening a second location.
And Mike Roper gives people crap.
And he's probably
and
right.
Mike Roper gives people crap for small entities like us who have tap rooms, and it's no chagrin. Like, listen, man, at the end of the day, listen. At the end of the day, you know what?
Hold on. All right.
No, at the end of the
Drew's
day, no.
handlers
Listen,
are telling
hold
him
on.
not to talk.
No, at the end of the day, it's this. Listen, we have cut our cloth, just like Kaiser Tiger has, Pat Longins has, like you have, Chris Quinn. We've cut our cloth, and I don't think at any point no one should be crippled by that because we're trying to sell beer in the same market.
I totally agree.
We're trying to sell beer in the same market.
Could not agree more.
We're trying to sell beer in the same market, but there are different factions. Yes, you own a bar. You own a bar. We
Yeah.
own a brewery.
Yeah.
And we own a tap room. We should not be penalized because we own a
I
tap
agree.
room and we're selling beer at maybe a step up above what you're selling at, but we're penalized for that every single day. I see it on the feeds. I hear about it, but dude,
But
it's like, listen.
I'm not penalizing tap rooms. I'm penalizing when tap rooms go down to Springfield and change the law to turn their tap room into a bar, and that's
don't
what this is
penalize
really
us for that,
about,
because
right?
We're
You know?
not all.
You
a
have
part of
nothing
that.
to do with that.
We're
I'm not
all part of
penalizing
that.
you.
We're not
I'm
all
from
part of that.
Indiana.
I will happily sell beer at my tasting room
Of
and my
course.
brewery for $5 all day long. But when it leaves my building to a distributor and it's marked up 27%, 30%, how the hell can we control that? To
can't.
you as a bar,
Can't.
to you as a retailer at the end of the day. So if you want to talk about that, and being honest about it, it's like, listen, don't penalize us because we chose to open a tap room to sustain our family, like you open a bar to sustain your family
I am
at the end
for
of the day.
sure all about people opening tap rooms, right? I'm all
Pat is
about
always,
it.
and you always have
I've
been,
always
Pat.
supported them, and
we
this
should
has
support
nothing
it.
to do with you having a tap room. And by the way, you especially being in a different state, I could really care less about your tap room. But
Well, thank you very much. I know how much you love us. I appreciate that.
what what I'm to is
No,
breweries.
stop. You can't say that. You cannot say it in those words.
What this boils down to is breweries making a decision of what they want to be. Do they want to be a place that sells all of their beer out of their tap room, or do they want to be a place that is a production brewery that is
Pat,
growing?
we've never had
and
that. But we've never had that opportunity to do that, and until now. And again, you said, you know what? I'm not a part of Illinois. I totally disagree. Yes, my brewery is in Indiana, but we face the same type of situations. Okay, the same type of situations. I can't even sell my spirits that I produce in the same building to my tap room, which is literally across a dock from me. Okay, so at the end of the day,
well, that's
you
just like state law stuff, right?
but it is.
Yeah.
But it is. At the end of the day, the heartbeat of it is, to me, it's like we have. It's like you fight for rights. We fight for rights. I don't agree with these things.
everyone
I
should.
don't agree with these things at the end of the day. But at the end of the day, it's
Right.
like the barmaids, the bar owners have to say, listen, this is not fair across state parties, state lines. The 3-tier system, in my mind, at the end of the day,
Should we get rid of it?
I do not agree with it to a certain extent.
Well, to a certain extent, it's not being followed.
Because it hurts you and it hurts me. That's why we're having this debate right now.
Right.
It hurts us.
Yeah.
It hurts us.
Well,
We're going.
you know,
You can stay. You just can't curse.
It hurts us. It hurts us. We have to be able to have this debate where it's like, it's not the bar owner against the tap rooms. And honestly, by God, I see it happening every single day.
The 3-tier system.
Screw the tap rooms.
Yeah, but
who put the heart?
Drew,
who put
think
the
about
work in.
this, man.
Screw. Drew Fox. Screw. All the brewers who put the work in to do this, to do what we do,
Right,
Just like
right.
you do what you do. It's not our fault that.
But
we
who
want
is
to
the
have an
3-tier
entity
system?
to feed our families and take care of each other?
Who is the 3-tier system really hurting? Is it your tier? Because, you're actually able to dabble in 2 of those 3 tiers, right?
And you're not.
No.
You can't sell spirits. You can't sell beer.
Those aren't the tiers. The tiers are the producer, the distributor, and the retailer. I'm the retailer.
Cut margin.
Right.
Yep.
That's all.
Okay.
And
You're a producer and a retailer.
We don't make money.
I'm not allowed to be a producer under my license. I would have to forego my liquor licenses if I wanted to open a brewery in Illinois. That's how the law
Well,
is.
that'd be a big mistake. No,
And I'm obviously, as a retailer, I'm not allowed to distribute alcohol.
but don't shame us because don't shame us.
I'm not shaming
Nobody's
anyone.
shaming.
Dude,
Nobody's
I
shaming.
think honestly,
You're taking it way too
Hold on.
personal.
I want
No,
to say,
I'm not
hold
taking
on.
it personal.
There's
but
a man
I think,
that has not talked at all. So
I
can you say
think
something,
it-
Jonathan?
Jonathan,
He's tried to
let's hear
talk
what you have to
a
say.
couple times, and you've been cut off.
I just really want to say how great this 18th. No, I think the only thing I disagree with you on this is with Drew
Yeah.
is the pricing thing. I do think that we are responsible for our pricing through the distributor and our tap room. So I do think that is something that anyone who wants to open up a distribution business needs to think about, like, what's this price going to be to my customers? And that's part of your contract with your distributor. What's your margin? You know, like, what are they taking? And then what are you going to charge at your tap
Absolutely.
room?
Agree.
And so, I mean, now we run a self-distribution business.
There's that
but
double standard because at the end of the day, I love to sell Pat a beer that he can sell at $5 and make great margin from.
Yeah.
Okay. But at the end of the day, that undercuts everything that we do.
I mean,
And-
it
and what
undercuts
you
it.
do.
So the trade-off is
Man,
always
I'm not arguing
like,
about price. I don't care what you charge
I mean,
me.
the
I'll charge.
trade-off is always-
I'll pass that on to the customer,
If-
and they'll either buy it or they won't.
if you
know?
want to
that
sell a
doesn't bother
beer
me.
at a certain price through self-distribution, I know that I'm going to need to sell 60% more to make up for the 30% that I'm giving up.
Yes.
But then also the biggest secret the biggest secret about price that no one wants to talk about is that you're taking the same margin no matter what.
You saying
and you love
Pat.
high
Yeah.
prices.
Yep.
If it sells, you love high prices because
That's
it
true.
gives you more margin.
Absolutely.
do you.
Yeah.
As do I. I love high prices.
Everyone does.
Because it's
Right.
more easy for me to make it up
But
because
the
I
social
sell it all up
responsibility
front.
of that is
Right.
Well, I do and I
it's
don't, though.
he
I
gets
don't.
beat up, he gets beat up at,
But so does
Craft-
flip side.
that kills you on the customers? Or?
Well, no, but I mean, craft beer has made retailers change a little bit about their margins. You know, I don't
Absolutely.
get the exact same
I
margins.
hate high prices. I
Yeah,
hate
I mean,
them.
you know, if I buy a
hate
$300 sixtel,
hate
I'm not
them.
charging $25 for a
glass.
pint of beer. I
Yeah.
wouldn't sell
No,
it.
no,
you
sure.
know,
I'd rather
I don't
have
make
three
the
times
exact same
people
margins.
and 1/3
Right.
the
and
cost.
and
of
that's
pricing.
what
I
has,
honestly would.
That's what kills Hopewell sometimes out there. Our brewery is we try to
yeah.
price ourselves
It's
in pretty much the center of what breweries our size or bigger are priced at. So we're priced pretty fairly, I think, according to like large regionals or
Yeah.
breweries our size. And what we'll run into at the bar level is another brewery coming in with super high prices. And they
Right,
have
right.
a $7
Yeah.
pint of this
Yeah.
and a $7
No,
pint
it,
of Hopewell.
it throws everything off.
and
Yeah.
and
It
we're
screws everything
making up for it on a margin. And
Right.
and that just happens.
And I think that, you know, the point I was trying to make is that, you know, I personally, this is me personally, there's no small tap room that's against the bar who's selling our beer.
Absolutely.
I think, and I would say vice
I don't
versa.
think-
I don't know of
and
any
vice versa.
bar who's
But-
anti-brewery.
No, but we get honestly, if you look at it and we say, hey,
Except
well,
for me and Pat.
you know, tap rooms are taking 20% of our business away, you know, or 30% of our business away. When you've been in business a lot longer than we have.
You know, we're cool with it. You just got to be sensitive about it and maybe not
been in-
change a law to
I've been in
make
business
things
like
better
9
in your
months longer than
favor.
you
You
did.
know, like.
Pat, dude, I understand
And
that.
you weren't part of it, Drew. This is not at you, man. You're
But,
you're
but-
in
but-
Indiana. This is the Illinois craft
No, but
brewers
I
thing.
was.
But I'm
Yeah.
still Illinois at the end of the day.
Jonathan
because
was. That's why he's not saying anything over there.
I think that
No, I mean
we can't penalize someone who's put the blood, sweat, and tears.
Nobody's penalizing. I mean,
Well,
I
well,
think
let's bring it back
we're
to the
just
topic.
arguing.
Let's bring it back
We're
to the
arguing.
We're
topic,
arguing about it,
which
and-
was
and you
New
think about
Jersey
it,
breweries.
If it's
Yeah, let's
20
bring it back to the New Jersey topic.
bringing
because
it back to the topic.
I think they
if
went
you're,
too
if
far.
You're, if you're thinking about penalizing
we're going too far.
Illinois breweries,
Yeah.
they're allowed to
yeah,
have
yeah, yeah.
15
We're going too
offsite events.
Right.
We
I
can
think
have
we're going too
0
far.
offsite events in
Drew
Illinois.
and I are in.
Would you?
I think we're going
Would
too
you
far.
substitute that for the other bullet points?
No one should have
You
to
The
would
other
not.
bullet points or
No one
whatever.
should
I mean,
suffer
we have
through it.
less than 25 events a year. We don't do a trivia night.
My favorite on that New Jersey
Live
list was
televised sporting events is an event, by the way.
We've shown
my favorite was the
But
no.
you are such an anomaly, and you know it.
Chris,
Special events is such as. So how many nights you have, like, we're going to have basket weaving there. We're going to have hipster
basket
meetup.
weaving. What do you think
We're going
we
to have
are?
whatever Logan
Underwater
Square
basket
hipster
weaving.
thing is going on is an event. The special event is so obscure that it's programming. And you do programming,
And it's relationships.
It's bar programming. So let's be real. So they don't
First,
want
it's
you to be a
relationships
bar.
too. It's
Yeah.
relationships too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all about relationships. I mean,
My
it's in there.
favorite's the no to go menus. That's part of the New Jersey law. You can't
wow.
have any to go menus at your
brutal.
brew pub, which is
And Pat and I both
dumb.
think that
Yeah.
this
It's
is
so dumb.
overreaching. All this
Overreaching.
So I think that has not been said. We have literally no time left, so that's why I'm speaking for Pat because there's been a lot of stuff said. So I want to try to summarize. So what I want to summarize in summary, everything here has been agreed upon, and we've all come to a consensus.
We all love each other.
The show is over. We really don't have anything else to talk about. Really.
That's all I got.
Yeah. I want to thank my guests.
I do
want to
plug
you.
18th Street Brewery.
Yeah.
They're making really
plugs.
great beer.
no calls to action.
That,
No plugs. No calls to action.
You know what? I know.
Th-
where
Forget
this is-
18th Street.
This
I know
is
where you live.
you shouldn't consider this a call to action, but that barrel aged beer that they are releasing this weekend
very good.
was
It
super
was
good.
pretty darn good.
Super good.
Yeah.
What, Drew, what was the name of that beer?
It's called Blend. It drops tomorrow at 5 p.m. and we're really proud of it. And I give all the props.
Talk
to
into the mic.
I give all the props to Rich Heber and for putting together this beer. It's a barley wine. It's a milk stout, and it's a Russian Imperial stout that we sat down probably over 2 weeks blending, and this is the end product, and we're really proud of it. So
Super good.
Thank you guys.
Thank you for bringing a bottle of it for us
yeah.
to taste. Anything you would like to say?
No,
in
our
closing, Drew?
anniversary, 5-year anniversary, is December 15th.
Congratulations.
It's 5 years. Really
That's
happy,
amazing.
really excited. And, our team has done a great job through the last year and a half of getting our expansion done. And now we go back to doing fun things that we are known for. And we get to have fun again,
Thanks for coming on, Drew.
Hell yeah.
And I mean that. Thank you for coming back on. Pat,
Yes.
would you like to say anything in the last 58 seconds?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to our Ripey Cider Tap room pop up at.
You are trying to be a tap room.
At
Cider
Patty Long's. Yes, everyone loves them.
So I might as well do it too.
Yeah,
Patty
here-
Long's tap room.
Hey, I give the public what they want.
Can you just call your brewery, your bar, Patty Long's Brewery Tap Room, and would you see an increase?
Really should.
I might. I don't know.
All right. Thank you guys so much. We will see you next week with more of the Beer Temple Insiders Roundtable. See ya.
Remember this is what we wanted. Remember this is what we said. To never be heard or seen from again. Remember this is what we wanted. Remember this is what we said. To never be heard or seen from again.